Woo woo woo, it's the comment section. Everybody loves the comment section. Come on down and fill out a comment, 'cause everybody loves the comment section. Let's dive into some of the comments we have for today on a few of my videos. The first one is on this one, which is my analysis on Redo the Healer. First comment that we had is from Ginga, I believe that's how you pronounce this person's name, saying that Freya is just a bad way of saying flare. Both names are correct. So in the manga translation that I read, her name was always Freya. Always Freya. But in the anime, the subtitles always said flare. Listening to it again, the way that they say flare in Japanese is Freya, which is exactly the same. So I'll give it to him. But at the same time, why not just not change the name? You can just leave it as Freya. But then again, Freya and saying flare with Japanese accent, Freya, is exactly the same. So fair enough. Fair enough. Good comment. I'm glad I was informed. Thank you. Next one is, oh god, Lenier82, informing me that the source of the anime is a light novel. That way it makes more sense. I'm not sure how I feel about this one, because I feel like for some, like, the only things that have changed are things that are so miscellaneous and awkward. Like, it's like watering down the important scenes and playing up the sex scenes. So unless the light novel is just like a doujin or written like a doujin, I don't see any basis for this being any less atrocious. Like, if you're arguing that, oh, the source is the light novel, all that tells me is that light novel is worse than the manga, and they based it off the worst source material, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why would you do that? The next video comment I want to talk about is on my Bleach video, which I believe only has like 6 views. And someone felt passionate enough to leave me an entire paragraph, which is pretty. It's something. It certainly is something.
Oi.
Oh, whoa. Okay. So we're gonna go point by point on this. If you want to pause and read the whole comment out first, you can. I've read the comment, and there are some things in here that I kind of agree with, but most that I disagree with. So, Rijo Sam says, I get your point, but there's a few mistakes and misconceptions. To be fair, all of these anime rambles are all unscripted. This video is unscripted. Everything you hear is just off the top of my head, off the cuff. So there might be a few mistakes and misconceptions, but generally the information is good and it all comes from my head, so it's not being filtered through a script. He said there's a few mistakes and misconceptions, and if he's allowed to judge my video, I'm allowed to judge his comment. Which he starts a new sentence with "and." I'm not. You don't do that. And judging from the Bleach anime is definitely not good, especially when its adaptation is meh. That is what I'm judging. I'm judging the Bleach anime. I'm not judging Bleach in its whole. I say specifically, I have not read the manga. I've watched the anime. This is what I'm judging it off of. I'm judging the anime. So if you don't like the fact that I'm judging the anime, ignore the video. This is a video on the Bleach anime, and I say this multiple times. The only time I mention the manga is when I said there are more characters in the manga, and when the final arc gets adapted, those characters are going to be in the anime as well. Using fillers to get your point across is a bad idea. I'm going on the Bleach anime. The fillers are in the Bleach anime. I'm going to talk about the Bleach anime. Therefore, the fillers are in that. The power system is shaky and broken towards the end of the last arc. I wouldn't know this because, again, have not read the manga. The world building is definitely not the best. It's not iffy either. Not the best means iffy. The Bleach books give us a lot of world building in the Bleach universe. That's fantastic. However, the books are not in the anime. And it's great that, like, I love the fact that Bleach has books because it separates some of these amazing characters into smaller story arcs where you can elaborate on them more. To elaborate on this video, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you watch it. But it basically talks about how Bleach has too many characters, and all the characters are really good. Like, they all deserve to be main characters. However, this stretches out the arc times to be, like, atrociously paced. That's why the title of this video is Bleach's greatest strength is also its greatest weakness. He said, the way you said it makes it seem like all the Bleach characters are given justice to what they are, but they, uh, starting a sentence with but, oh my god. But they definitely are not different art. I don't know what that means. Different art forms, different art form have different way of expressing what they are. The way you said it makes it seem like you want the Bleach to be a copy paste of another art. I'm not sure what that means. I'm assuming that's from when I was comparing it to World Trigger. Yes, I don't want Bleach to be a copy paste of World Trigger. I want it to be its own show with its own characters. However, I'm just saying that does Bleach have too many characters? I feel like if you could make like 4 series just cutting down the characters. First 13 court guard squads with all different stories. You could make you could do what a certain magical index did and make entire different series based off the individual groups and characters in these stories, and you would still have something just as good. I don't want you to copy and paste another show. I want you to manage your characters better. Because your characters are great and I want to learn more about all of them. However, I don't need all of them to shine in every single arc. It stretches everything out way too long. It's like what One Piece does. It has a bunch of characters for an arc, and a lot of them disappear, sometimes come back, maybe one or two in a different arc. But you don't have every character in every arc. It drags things on way too long. Think about Dressrosa, how long of an arc that was, and then think, what if every character we met along the way, or just the characters in Alabasta, all came back during Dressrosa? It would extend it double, and those characters were already elaborated on. I'm just saying. I'm not gonna elaborate on this one sentence for longer than I have to. All right, where was I? Copy pasta. Copy paste of another art. What Kubo failed to do was manage the huge cast through sufficient means so that the characters would have gotten better treatment. I agree with that, which is what I'm talking about. So I don't understand why he's disagreeing with me. Now, that's the real problem. That should have been a comma. Kubo tells a story through his characters, their emotions, facial expression. If you're taking that away and asking it to be something similar to other series, what's the point? I'm not asking him to take that away. I love the characters in Bleach, as I said in the video. However, there's too many of them in the same arcs, stretching it out. I love the characters, but you either need to take away some characters, have like 6 court guard squads, 7 court guard squads, only like only like 4 full bringers, or I don't know. or manage your cast better by having less members participate in each arc, like One Piece. I'm just giving another example of a series that does the same thing, but to a much better degree. I could have compared this to One Piece or World Trigger or a bunch of our shows with huge casts, uh, but I decided to compare it to World Trigger. I don't want it to be exactly like World Trigger. I'm just comparing. I'm just showing other ways different series problem solved in a way to maybe fix a few of the issues. For example, you mentioned the pillar fights and not holding a greater meaning. Yes. So in Fake Katakura Town arc, they had 4 lieutenants on each one of these pillars, keeping the town basically tethered in the Soul Society in this fake town in the real world where the captains were having their fights. Um, all these fights, some of them mattered, some of them didn't really matter. They were mainly backstory, like for like the individual, like in the terms of the entire arc. No, these fights didn't matter even a little bit. They were important to the characters, but it kind of felt misplaced in the arc. But you're wrong. It brought up brought up Hisagi gave a great foundation to one of the best moments of the fake Karakura Town arc. How to say Tozen? Yeah, Tozen did have a good moment, but through his lieutenant and his ideology and how his squads work. I'll give it to him, but it mainly focuses on one character, uh, and not a character that's kind of like it gave that one villain a little bit more depth, but it felt like it should have been something that isn't done in the heat of the fight because it's stretching out a tertiary villain with a tertiary character in a tertiary fight in an arc that's already incredibly long. The other fight doesn't have this much impact compared to the other two, so I focus on it so heavily. Compared to the other two, but even that had ever so slight significance to it in the end. But it has ever so slight significance. Why include it? Why not just save the results and get your point down instead of showing a long fight? Cool, fights are awesome and cool, but focus on the characters who you really want to see the fights in. Like, don't focus on Lieutenant Izuru when 5 captains are dueling out like 10 feet away. Like, no one, I don't want to say no one cares because I'm sure some people do, but you got to prioritize your screen time. I lost my place. Very sorry. The squad comparison was big off Bleach. What? Squad comparison big off because literally you said it lacked. What? It literally had what you said it lacked. Okay. Each squad had different ideologies and perspective. Even though, okay, even though they're part of the 14 court guard squad. Yeah. Okay. This is fair. I did not phrase it well. I should have said that each squad, like, I meant not ideology, I meant psychology. Like, you don't learn that well, ideology too. Like, Kenpachi squad is the example that I used, and I used squad 4. Like, you don't learn, like, it's a general ideology. Like, you learn, like, that the people in each squad kind of has different roles that they play, but you kind of get what I meant is you get each character in depth in I'm not phrasing this well, I'm very sorry. You don't get each character in depth like you do in what was I comparing to? World Trigger, because in World Trigger you get smaller squads of 3 5 people, 3 to 5 people. In Bleach you get squads of, do we ever learn that, like 30 50 people? 50 people? and you might learn 3, 4 members of each squad, if that. So, like, just because every member of Kenpachi squad, what did they all look like tough guys with mohawks or something from the first arc. Like, you don't care about any of these characters. They're just there to fill the ranks. You don't learn their individual psychologies, why they joined Kenpachi squads. You don't get a general sense of who they are when they're on screen. And some of them reoccur, but you still don't care about any of them. And Kubo, another sentence that starts with an and Kubo uses visuals like squad emblems, flower representing each squad. I really like that. But having one thing represent a squad and having naming schemes to further elevate what he's trying to say. Yeah, naming schemes and symbols don't do jack. Like if the CIA had what's it called? Their logo, the CIA. They have names and it has a scheme. You don't know anything about the CIA. You don't know who works there. You don't know why they work there. You don't know what's important to them. You don't know why their job is so important. You just know it's the CIA. They're spies. Another point you mentioned is the lack of strategy in fights when they're fighting. Just for the sake of it, which is completely goes against what happens throughout Bleach. Ah, yes, because everyone knows Bleach for the brilliant strategies. Like, hey, he mentions an example. Let's take the pillar fight as an example. How can it be just for the sake of it when you showed us that he was planning that it was planned and to execute the counter strategy of the opponent? I'm not talking about like the overall strategy. I'm talking about strategy within fights. Kind of like what's a great way to explain it? Like, hey, your Zanpakuto works well with mine. If we duel against this guy and we work in a certain orientation, we can win. And like it makes sense that Kenpachi Squad doesn't do this at all because they're all about like their own might, proving themselves, getting stronger, increasing their own power for might. However, in all the other squads, you never see this once. It's all pretty much one-on-one fights except for very rare examples where it's not. It's not like, okay, you go in, you use your Zanpakuto to like weaken him, and then I'll go in, I'll use mine to have a counterattack. No, it's all one-on-one fights. In the fights, there is no strategy. It's hey, you stand there. If someone comes, you fight them. That's it. Not, oh, we'll set a trap. You start fighting them, and we'll have 2 other guys ambush out of nowhere. He'll be caught off guard. He won't know what to do. Yeah. No. Sure, there's some overall strategy, but I wouldn't call in the first arc where like Ichigo's strategy to save Rukia was, oh, we go to the Ronkangai district, we get into a big firework, we blast into the Serite, and then from there, we just start running around, I guess. Or how did the Serite counter that? All right, captains, go run around the Serite. Our strategical might will outsmart what did they call them? Something with an R, right? Ryoka. We'll outsmart our Ryoka with our random running. The only one who had an actual plan or strategy was Sushui because he waited in a part where he expected one of them to run to. There wasn't a huge group of people right outside like Rukia's tower waiting for them all to show up. Instead, they just chased them around randomly. Like that's not strategy. The only one who had a strategy was Aizen, and that strategy is I take the Hogyoku, I get strong, I do more one-on-one fights. uh yeah, what brilliant strategy. Uh, Am planning to execute. Where am I? Let's take the pillar fight for example. I'm gonna reread this because I think I missed something. How can it be just for the sake of it when it showed us that it was planned to execute counter ad- was used to execute to counter the opponent's strategy? Fights are more as a group question mark. I don't know what that means. That's not a complete sentence. But how is that a problem, especially when they're on a war with each other? You think wars don't have multiple people ganging up on other people or using weapons specifically to counter the other people, not just sticking whoever you have the strongest of on top of pillars to fight against people? If it's a war, you have a counterfront, you have strategy, you have ranged, you have ranged troops beaming stuff over. Like you use your forces in a way that counters your opponents directly. You analyze what your opponent can do, and you set up a team specifically to take down those opponents. Not just, hey, here's some strong people, throw them at them. Even the Araucars did the same exact thing. They're like, you're the strongest, you're second strongest, third, fourth, five, six, seven, 8, 9, 10. Okay, you go up against the other strong people, and we see who win. Not, all right, you're really good you're perfect for taking out Kenpachi because he doesn't have a release command. So you are going to go up against him. No, it's, hey, you strong, you fight captain. There's no strategy. If there is, it's paper thin. Uh, especially when they're in a war with each other. It's all about the situation. Clearly not. Circumstances, context, and it matters. Circumstances and context matters. Yeah, circumstances and context matters, which is why it doesn't make any sense how there's no strategy, especially if you have the 13 Court Guard Squad, which is literally supposed to be a military that protects the afterlife. So you'd expect them to be a little bit more organized, especially with, I don't know, all the war figures who have died in Japan. Wouldn't they have like some input on how things are being run? But whatever. Uh, at times, I contradict myself too. Yeah, I'll admit that in my anime rambles, again, they're unscripted. At times, I do contradict myself, and I'm sorry for that. There was some interesting things brought up in this, but I feel like most things don't really hold up in this comment. I do appreciate the time that Ryosh Sam spent putting such a long effort comment. Wait, did I skip something? Yeah, I think I did. Looking back at this, I think I did skip over a sentence. 1 second. Yes, I did. Back when he was talking about how each flower represented a squad, he said, even every single Soul Reaper uh, is different from each other when represented through their own Zanpakuto, and the processes they go through are very similar. Yeah, I said they're all good characters. They're all great characters that deserve their own series, their own stories, which is why some of the light novels are adapting their own stories. But that doesn't mean the squads are different from each other. That just means they're placed in the different squads. When you were first shown like the meeting of lieutenants and the meeting of captains separate from each other, did you know exactly which lieutenants paired with which captains? No. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, and like you should be able to tell immediately, but some of them like were pretty obvious because you either saw them spoke or they mentioned it before, but most of them were pretty off the mark, and that's because some of the squads are literally indistinguishable from each other. There is no difference in between like Toshiro's squad and oh my god, I always forget his name, Rukia's captain, the one who's sick with two swords. There's no difference in between their two squads. There's no fundamental ideology that separates the two. They're pretty much the same. They're just led by different people. That's about it. And I'm pretty sure, like, we don't even get to meet anyone from Sunshi's squad besides his lieutenant and his previous lieutenant who became a visored. It's yeah. So yeah, that's me addressing these comments. I had fun making this video. It took me a while to address everything in this, but I like talking about these comments. I appreciate it that you guys put in comments. If you guys like this video, hit a like button. If you guys have something more to say or a response, well, comment sections down below. If you want to subscribe to see more contents about this, please do so. I'd be happy to have you on the channel. Yeah, that's about it. If you didn't like it, y'all can go fuck yourself. See y'all in the next video. Bye-bye.